Good afternoon. Welcome to the weekly livestock market update. I'm Brownfield anchor reporter Megan Grebner. With us, as always, to talk all things markets is University of Missouri Scott Brown. Good afternoon, Scott.
Good afternoon, Megan.
As we get things started today, kind of a short week or a couple of small reports for us this week, and one of those being cattle on feed report. But let's recap what happened this week in the markets.
Yeah, on the cattle side this week, cash live cattle were basically unchanged for the week. If we look at those feeder cattle auctions, they were mostly $1 to $4 lower this week. On the future side, the December live cattle futures contract closed down $2.10, and the January feeder cattle futures contract closed down $3.10. We did get some good price increases in the choice box beef price. We were up $11.55 this week. A really good jump in rib prices this week on the beef side of the equation. On the hog side, barrows and gilts cash prices this week were down $1.80. That December lean hog futures contract closed down 90 cents this week. We also lost on the pork cutout value. It was down $3.90. Primarily lower hams and bellies led the way there.
Are we going to be watching what happens, obviously price-wise, but demand-wise, especially domestically, as we head into this holiday season?
Yeah, absolutely. We continue to see probably more states or local communities instituting changes, trying to combat COVID, and we have that going on at the same time. We have both Thanksgiving and Christmas among many holidays here at the end of the year, trying to figure out exactly how consumer behavior unfolds in that environment will be important for where we see prices going as we look through the next several weeks here.
I'm not going to lie. I really think sending like meat packages at Christmas time is what everybody should be doing if we're not able to spend time with each other and have those great family holiday meals together.
Certainly appears like it's going to be a different holiday season for many of us right now.
Scott, let's talk weekly slaughter. I know we've been talking about some magic numbers on the pork side of things. Let's talk about what happened this week slaughter-wise.
Yeah, so good runs in both cattle and hogs this week. On the hog side, for the week ending November 21st, 665,000 head estimated by USDA. That's actually up 12,000 head relative to a week ago. And on the hog side, 2.711 million head of hogs for the week ending November 21st. That's up 28,000 head, or up about 1% from where we were a week ago. So a pretty good run, both cattle and hogs this week.
And we're at a point right now where it seems like we can't let off the gas when it comes to the slaughter, especially on the hog side of things.
Yeah, that's true. And, I think everybody's looking here as well carefully about as COVID increases, is there pressure on some of these processing plants yet again? And we certainly had some rumors out there this week, but it doesn't seem like anything's materialized. And in fact, we had a really good slaughter week. So I think these markets are going to continue to look really carefully at what's going on in terms of the level of processing we can get to, because we got especially a lot of hogs to get work through the system.
And that means demand's going to have to stay strong as well.
That's right. Just because we can hang the hogs and process them, that doesn't mean we don't need to move the pork as well. So we certainly need a pretty robust next several weeks here.
Scott, let's talk livestock slaughter. Those numbers were released from USDA this week as we take a look at beef and pork production for the month.
Yeah, so I don't think there's any big surprises here in terms of livestock slaughter, but we just kind of take a quick look at the report. So October beef production was 1.3% higher than a year ago. It's important to note that although cattle slaughter was down 1.3% in October, the 2.6% increase in cattle weights more than offset that decline to give us more beef production. I sometimes like to remind us, if we can get weights down as we get into 2021 and we maybe lower those beef supplies relative to what we've been seeing of late, we got some maybe some more positive news on the price side. You look at year to date, we're talking about beef production that's basically unchanged relative to a year ago. If we switch gears and look at pork production and pork numbers we got out of the report for October, pork production was down 0.3%. So although The hog weight was up 1.9%. Hog slaughter was actually down 2.3% for October, which made pork production itself down slightly. Year to date, though, pork production up 2.7%. So adequate pork supplies out there in the market here in 2020.
Scott, let's talk cattle on feed this afternoon. Not any real big surprises in that report.
Yeah, I go, thank goodness. When you look at what we had, first of all, on the placement side, we came in down 11% on placements in October. That was pretty near the midpoint of the pre-report estimates. And I like to remind us, October of 19 was a record large placement number, so it's not surprising to see us come off here for October of 2020. If you look at cattle on feed as of November 1st, right, pretty near the midpoint of pre-report estimates. The report came in at 101.3. So we're certainly seeing more total cattle in feed yards, but pork by and large, as expectations would have said pre-report.
What are we watching as we get into the last couple of months and as we head into that big January report? Some things maybe that we're keeping an eye out for to watch what's going on that side of things?
Yeah, so I think at some point, and maybe this is the start of that, some fewer numbers being placed in the feed yard. I still, as you look into 2021, we've got a situation on the beef front where beef supplies ought to get in better shape. Hopefully weights come down. We continue to maybe see placements that are running below year-ago levels. It gets us in a situation where, again, beef supply is more in check. I'm curious to watch, as you think about that January report, just what happens to beef cow inventory. We've got some dry weather in some parts of the country. I sometimes maybe don't give it enough credit because here in central Missouri, at least, we haven't seen too much dry weather affecting things. But in some parts of the country, I think it's been important. And likewise, feed costs have been moving up. So I think both those things could give us a smaller cow herd than maybe we would have thought just a few months ago.
You bring up an excellent point, and we talk about feed costs and input costs. I know we kind of beat this drum a lot, but I think it's something that we need to think about, and it needs to be in the forefront of our minds when we look ahead to 2021. And we know that there's some demand uncertainty. There's potential to see less demand for U.S. pork specifically, and also other products. What do producers need to keep in mind when they're looking at the bottom line and trying to maybe mitigate a little bit of that risk?
Yeah, so first of all, I think it's good to remind us what's at play here. So yes, a U.S. crop that's tended to get a little smaller as we've gone through the last few months as yields have been brought down. But to me, one of the things here in the very short run we have to pay attention to, you and I talk about this almost every time, it's China. How much corn does the Chinese hog herd need, and how quickly is it rebuilding, and does ASF affect it? Because I think it's important to realize again that I think we could have higher feed costs. Corn futures were up 14 cents this week on many contracts, and I think that's demand driven as much as anything at this point. And oh, by the way, if the Chinese don't need as much U.S. pork from us, that probably backs up meat supplies here in the U.S. So, but both sides of that equation is important. Both sides being input and output prices. I think there's still a lot of risk out there. I still wonder about general economy drag out there, and I don't want folks to get caught not thinking about locking in both sides of this equation here for a little while.
Scott, I think that's it for us this week as we look ahead to next week. Short week with the Thanksgiving holiday, and also not as many reports either.
Yeah, that's right. We'll get cold storage out of the gate next week, and we also get a look at a little bit of forecast for U.S. ag trade from USDA. So those are a couple of things we can talk about in the short week next week.
Always great to see you. So we'll see you next Friday. Right? Friday.
That sounds great.
All right. So our weekly livestock market update delivered to your email box every Saturday morning. Visit our website. Go to brownfieldagnews.com. You can subscribe there. You can also submit questions and comments. And for all of the great Brownfield podcasts, check out brownfieldagnews.com/podcast. Have a great weekend. Have a happy Thanksgiving. And we'll talk to you all next Friday. I'm Megan Grebner for Brownfield.